Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It's Monday, the 27th of April, for reals. I ain't lying, it's Monday. It doesn't feel like a Monday. It feels like Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday. I don't know. Whatever day it feels like. Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend. I have got Justin. Justin is with me. He showed up this morning. Decided to rather than watching me dance alone, he was going to dance with me. So, good morning, Justin.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. You know, I appreciate you stopping by and showing up. I remember whenever I first started the channel, I was always doing this alone, and I'd sit there watching that little clock before the show, and I'd be just terrified. This morning, I didn't know you were going to show up until just before the show started, and I was just doing my little thing, making a list. This is what I'm going to bitch about today. That'll keep me talking for a little bit. But you showed up, so thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Good morning, Godless Granny and Brainbug. How are you guys doing? Kristin is here. Good morning, Kristin. Best name ever. Thanks to Kristin, we are going to have Seth Andrews tomorrow on the show. Very excited about that. I know, right? And that puts, man, I got to write that on my list. I got some research to do today because I don't know enough about what's going on, you know? But yeah, I'm looking forward to having him on the show. So, Justin, did you have a good
Seth
weekend?
Andrews is a big name. I had a great weekend.
Awesome.
Did a live stream the other night and got some stuff together for the podcast that I'm doing. I'm going to be Wednesday. I'm going to be interviewing a author of a few books. He's not very well known, but we're going to try and, just like you've tried to help me get my name out there, I'm going to try and do the same for him.
Yeah, awesome. I've had several authors on my show. Good to try to help them spread their nutbaggery. Well, I say that, but I'm not very good at doing my research beforehand. So sometimes I'll be like, all right, and this is Bob. And Bob is like, hello, and this is my brand of nutbaggery. You know, here's some woo for you. And I'm like, wait. What are you doing here? How'd you get on the show? I've done that. That has happened. I'm an author too. I moved up from doing it with crayons. Yeah. So, good morning, Kristin and Epileptic Skeptic. Hi, Steph. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope everybody is doing great. Hey, Wayne Taylor. Good morning, Wayne. We got lots of folks showing up. I'm trying to broadcast on Facebook and YouTube and everything, and so far it has been wonderful. I'm drawing a crowd. I'm actually growing viewers on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Who'd have thought? So that's been wonderful. I slice, I dice, I make julienne French fries. I can cut a beer can and then still slice a tomato razor thin. This is in response to Gary Priestley, what this guy can't do. Good morning, everybody. So I'm an author. I got a sci-fi novel. I wrote a book about anti-theism back in 2013. It's one of those that never dies. It's just one of those jokes that never gets old. Go, if you haven't read the book, go read the book. But I've got a sci-fi novel, actually 3 of them planned, blah, blah, blah. I've got one written and I'm ready to go with it. Everything's ready to go. I'm just waiting until I get a bigger base. Speaking of a bigger base, I surpassed 900 subscribers
I saw that
week. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And either today or tomorrow, I'm going to break the 4,000 viewing hours required to become monetized. El Tubo de Ubos. That's right. So, and I'm thinking maybe within a month, I will be able to reach that 1,000 subscribers. I know, there's like this plague thing going on, and they may not be able to actually make me monetize, blah, blah, blah. I'm not too worried about that. It's just the metric that I've reached it. I finally got there. And then something else I know, because I've done some research on the deal, that just attaining that level is not going to get me no money. It's not like dollars are just going to start flowing in. It doesn't work like that. I do know that.
It is the next step, though.
It is the next step. And then after that is 10,000. I think 10,000 watch hours and 10,000 subscribers is my next, in my mind, goal. But whenever we do when I get that 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to have a stream, we're partying kind of 1,000 subscribers stream. I've seen other people do that for various levels. So I'm going to do it. Yeah, that's right. I'll be just flipping them dollars. That's usually how it works.
Right?
Nobody ever flips them at me. Yeah, nobody flips them at me. I'm always flipping them out. That's right. So, Yeah, there's that. We were talking real quick. We were talking before the show. Was it before the show? Last week we kind of had a run in with Saturday. I think it wasn't it Saturday? Darth Dawkins got on the show, kind of got up and I had to get uncharacteristically unkind. And then he shows up. Darth Dawkins shows up on Justin's show. Now, Darth Dawkins, I had told him in the past that I was going to send him an email and invite him possibly on the show. People warned me not to do that. And, so Saturday again on the show, he showed up to talk. So I sent him an email. I just want to I'm going to do this. I don't normally do this sort of thing, but it's fun. You guys get to do this with me because it's fun. But I sent him an email. You guys are working on the subject. Oh, son of a bitch. No, cancel. No, I said, all right, so my phone is obviously smarter than I am, and clearly I did not plan this ahead. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to read this email that I sent to Darth Dawkins. It's kind of brief, so you guys can understand that I actually fulfilled my side of the deal, and, I've never sought him out. I thought it'd be nice to have him on the show, but I've never said, hey, I want to debate this guy. I've never chased him down. I've never assaulted him in anywhere but my own thing. When he comes to disturb me, do I talk to him? So he's coming to my thing again, wanting emails. So I said, Darth, I hope you and your family are doing well and staying healthy. I'm considering inviting you to join me as a guest on the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It's not a debate show, and I'm not interested in debating you or arguing with you. I entertain the idea of having you on my show in the hopes that you will respect the nature of the show and join me for a lighthearted hour or so. Can you confirm you understand and that this is something you would be interested in? If so, I'd like to extend you an invitation. But please, if you're just interested in providing an atheist, or if you're just interested in proving an atheist wrong or debating an atheist or trying to make an atheist look bad or arguing, then I respectfully ask you to decline my invitation and not to bother my show again. Right? I think I've made that fairly clear. Listen, if that's the reason why I want to have the guy on the show. If he can step out of being the aggressive attack dog for Christianity against atheism, if he can step out of that role for just a minute and sit here like you and go, you know what? I've been doing this for like 5 years. It's fun. I like to drink beers or Sacramento wine or whatever and go knock back some atheists because it's fun, and just be chill instead of assaulting me personally. Okay, do you believe that if I can prove this, that you're, wait, can he do that? I don't know. But many of folk have suggested, and Miss Kristin, Autoban. Yeah. I mean, she's, as soon as it's like one of those little gopher games that they got. What are they called? When the gopher pops his little head out. Whack-a-mole. Thank you. And Kristin is there with a little hammer. And
she was doing the same thing. She was doing the same thing on Saturday for me. She was like, this guy, she's all in the comment section going crazy.
Yeah. I have this vision. You see her picture there on the thing. I have this vision of her head on this, like, barbarian female's body from, Dungeons and Dragons, and she's holding this big hammer, and on the side of it says Ben Hammer. And just because she takes him down. And I've even one morning he comes in and he goes, why don't you let me talk on your show or whatever, and I'm like, this isn't about you. I'm talking to Justin here. This is who we're talking about. It's not about you. And I said, moderators, don't block him. Let him partake in the show if he's going to be nice and talk about the show. But Kristin didn't hear that. But he was being a jerk, his normal self, or at least the persona that he puts on as an anti-atheist. And, a little while later, she showed up. It was just like an automatic ka-ching, and he was gone. Good morning, Neil. How are you doing? It's too early for spelling. Yeah, it's too early for spelling. Wandy woman?
Yeah. I ended up, I let him on because the nature of my after party is not exactly a debate nature, but it is a conversation between two opposing views. And I've seen him make videos before saying this person, they're obviously scared. And they're, they don't want me on their show. And it's my nature as the empathetic atheist to give everybody a chance. So I let him on, and things were respectful at first, and he did have me um, starting to interrupt a little bit because I, in my mind, I felt like there was a Gish Gallop going on. He was going to bring up 15 different points, and I wanted to stick, address one point, and then the famous can I finish please? Can I finish please? And it just constantly ended up talking over me.
Right.
And he started to talk over everybody else, and eventually I had to boot him from the studio broadcast studio.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was fun while it lasted. It was a good show, and I honestly took him coming on as a compliment, because with me being as brand new to this as I am, I wasn't expecting to get old Duncan Atheism on there for a while. So,
Yeah. I mean, I can see that, and I felt that way a little bit too. Like the first time I saw him, I was like, wow, but yeah, you're right. You've been 2 weeks into this.
Yeah, I was not expecting him for a while. He was way out of sight.
But I think, and I could be wrong, because I really have not engaged with him very much. But I think you're exactly who he's looking for. The new unsure atheist who doesn't really know a lot, who's willing to fall for his little traps and do his little things and stuff like that. And that's what he's hoping for. You may not be that.
Unfortunately, I noticed what he's doing. I've watched his debates before. And I, by no means do I want to say, and I want to say this on a live stream record, I am not saying he's reading off of a script, but it most definitely seems like it. You can pair together every single one of his debates. You can affirm for the universal absolutes, and you have inductive reasoning, and he's basically a presuppositionalist. He's like a person that I've watched debate Sci-Ten Bergenkate. He's a presuppositionalist, and he accepts the presupposition of God, but he refuses to let anybody presuppose the laws of logic or things that we have to presuppose within the scientific community to run experiments, to find the answer to stuff. Right. So it's kind of hard talking to him.
I get that. And, I was sitting there thinking about that before the show today, and that was it. It's attention. He wants attention. For most people, they say hi in the chat, and I say hi back to him. Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Godless Granny. I hope you had a great weekend. Gary Priestley. Hi, Gary. We say hi to these people and we move on. The show's not about them, and they know that. No offense to them. If they want to be on the show, they send me a message and they say, hey, can I be on the show? Paul Cammish, he actually did that. When I first met him, he's now a patron. He wasn't at the time, but I met him and he said, hey, can I? Or actually, I went back and rewatched one of my shows, and I happened to notice his comment that said, hey, how can I get to be on the show? And I sent him a message, and sure enough, he ended up being on the show. That's how you get on the show. You don't come in the chat and start trash talking people, and try to overrun their show with your personality while they're talking about something else. Me and Justin here, we're talking about widgets, and that's what we planned on talking about. Justin, I talked to Justin weeks ago. I said, Justin, can you come on my show and talk about widgets? And Justin is like, you know what? I have been dying to come on your show and talk about some widgets, right? And so you are here, I'm here. We got widgets, alone and scared, me, you, widgets. And then Jackass comes in the chat and he's like, hey, Neil, how come you don't respond whenever I talk to you? How come you keep banning me from your channel? Neil, the 604 Atheist, why aren't you talking to me? I'm like, that was my first experience with the guy. In my chat, he comes out calling out Neil. Neil wasn't even talking. He was in the chat listening to the show at work. He wasn't on the show, nothing. Dude just comes in and starts attacking Neil in my chat. And now, at that point, we're talking to the dude. So he's not the star of the show. He wasn't invited on the show. He didn't say hi when he came in the chat. No, he come in and starts attacking one of my guests, and suddenly he's the star. We're all talking to him. Hey, dude, Neil's not here. Neil's not here. Why are you fighting with Neil? Neil's not listening. And he's over just masturbating to us, talking to him. Oh, my God, they're talking to me. Oh, my God, because that's exactly what this jackass wants. That's exactly what he wants, and we're giving it to him. Here you go, blah, 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 blah. So that's one of the reasons why in my head I thought, whenever I saw she was going to, because I knew Kristin was going to show up and I knew she was going to ban him. But in that little narrow time, I gave him the opportunity to demonstrate. And he did exactly why he needed to be banned,
Wasn't it yesterday, Saturday? It was Sci-Fi Saturday. Wasn't he actually playing along? Wasn't he putting some comments in?
Not not that
I
were
thought I
science
saw
fiction
him.
related. Well, all they were, hey,
Oh, okay.
you invited me on your show. How come you sit there and invite me on your show and let your banners ban me? Why do you do that? I'm like, well, because you're a douchebag. Because you come on my show and disturb the entire show. And Gary Priestley's got it right. It's like, Chris, why are you afraid to debate me? Well, now we're all right. So now, Gary, I'm not afraid to debate you. And now we're talking about Gary, and that's exactly what Duncan does. Now, at this particular point, I chose to devote a specific set of time of this morning show talking about him. He didn't do it. I chose it because of those things. And whenever you mention, I actually even have it on my list. Read the damn email that I sent to Duncan. So everybody knows I did my part. That was yesterday. He has not responded. So anyway. Yeah, Gary. And Kristin says, yeah, I'm sure Darth and all of his followers think that I ban him and them because we're scared of his arguments. No, it's just because he's a destructive asshole. Exactly, word for word. If he scheduled a time to be on the show and talked about that, yeah, living rent free in my mind. That's right. That's what he does. And he doesn't live rent free. I'm actually paying because just a disturbance on my show takes up the time of the show. And now we're talking about, oddly enough, though, people like the drama. They enjoy the drama.
Yeah.
They like to watch. People actually like watching me go off on him. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to entertain him. And he certainly has done none of the work behind my show. So why should I let him on my show? Now, in your case, it's sort of like what you're saying about being the empathetic atheist, and you're willing to listen and be soft and understanding to their feelings and all this stuff. That's exactly what he plays for. What's it get? It gets him on your show. Yeah. And he's out there bashing you around and being a jerk, really. He's being overwhelming, overmuch, too much, trying to control everything until you finally give up and ban him. And when you do, he turns to his people and says, see what they did? They banned me. They won't even let me get an argument out. This is the kind of jackassery that we have going on here. Now, of course,
I got sick and tired of questions being asked to me, and then I give him my answer. Like, he uses a lot of theological technical jargon, and he puts it all together in what I believe is a script. And I'm not a theology. I don't have any degrees in theology. I'm not a physicist. I'm a simple little atheist that's just not convinced.
Right.
And I have a good way of putting my words across in my little, in my mind, what Darth thinks is my little monkey language, but I bring it across as simple as possible. And he asks a question, and my answer, he's like, can you show, the universal absolutes within your worldview? I was like, I can show whatever science can demonstrate to be true within the reality we live in. Well, that's not an answer. Well, just because you don't like it and you don't have a response on your sheet for that type of answer doesn't mean it's not an answer.
That is correct. Now, I agree with you. Of course, I'm going to take your side on anything against him, right? We're going to default to that. Let's talk about this script thing. I'm pushing 50. I'm not 50 yet. To hell with you for thinking I'm no, not you. I'm talking about them over there who thought I was over 50. But I'm pushing 50, and I don't remember so good no more. Thank you, age and marijuana. Now, that being said, though, scripts are one thing, so now I want to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you about the evil god monster of Abraham. I'll tell you about Abraham and how he did this and how bad he was, because that's my normal thing. Now, that's not scripted, but it is like my normal thing, and I know certain points, and I run along those. In my mind, I really can't fault him on the scripted nature of his approach. He's got arguments that he believes in, and he thinks are gonna work against an atheist, and he's gonna use those arguments over and over again. I totally get that. I probably would do the same. I'm gonna go to an atheist or a Christian. I'm gonna go, hey, Christian, can you explain to me why Abram did this? Or Abraham, can you explain? And they're going to be, that's Old Testament. That's old. I'm like, oh, no. That's God. That's not Old Testament. That's God. We're going to have that argument because I've been down that road before, and it's not scripted, but it's scripted.
I'm right there with you. I got a question. If you were to have that on your script and you went and talked to somebody and somebody actually corrected you and demonstrated how your whatever was on your script was incorrect, would you change that? And I believe that you being an honest person would, if you've been corrected on something, that you would throw that argument out of there, just like we ask Christians to do when we talk to them. When we show that their reasoning is flawed, we hope that they throw that out of their basket of tools and come up with something different.
And see,
that's the issue I have.
I get that. Totally get that. Now, what the deal is their definition. It's like, all right, so you think you've blown my argument out of the water, but you didn't. Just because you said you disproved what I was saying doesn't mean you disproved my argument. And, you know, all right, so you believe in bones and stuff like that. That doesn't prove anything to me. And now I just walk away, right? Like that chicken on the chessboard that just kicks over the pieces, shits on the board, walks away thinking it won the game. That's what we're dealing with here. You know, that we're dealing with a subset of people who've already agreed to, who've already announced, agreed, this is just the way it is in their mind, to disassociate reality from what they believe and be okay with both. And then not just do that, but to foster that upon you. That's not our position by default as atheists or this kind of thing. But I mean, it's the same thing with me and my argument going against Duncan, like our Dawkins. If he showed me something that proved my argument was incorrect or flawed, I would stop using that part of the argument until I figured it out, or just change the argument entirely, you know, go find a better solution to the argument. And that may be the case oftentimes when you see a Christian. Sometimes I feel we always have the high ground because they're arguing the reality of myths and we're not. You know, so they try to do these arguments, and whenever you go, but, and they're like, oh, okay, well, and then they have to start and apply their reason. Okay, then, all right, well, because of this and because of this. And I think the good ones will actually remember that. And the next time they come in with it up against an atheist, instead of starting with argument A, they'll start with argument C this time. And they will remember. Now, if Goth doesn't change his scripts, then he's just an idiot, if that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, a lot of times I think the most frustrating thing that I have corrected somebody upon, and I've actually used the Socratic method to get them to admit that what they're using is a bad tool to use. They've actually admitted it. Now, I just started live streaming, so I don't have that proof yet, but that's, you know, once I get somebody on the show and I'm able to talk to them, the show's not about, oh, I'm going to get this guy on recording being wrong, but it's showing people the tools that you can use in the Socratic method and the questions that you can ask. But a lot of times, even some of the biggest, like Bill Craig, William Lane Craig, Frank Turek, they use this type of reasoning. Well, if atheism is true, and they've been corrected on it before, how can atheism be true? Atheism isn't a positive assertion. Atheism is an absence of a belief in God. So we're still, most of us, unless you come out as an anti-theist and say, I make a positive assertion that there are no gods, we're not, they have the dichotomy wrong there. So they have a positive assertion that God exists. If theism is true, that would be a proper usage of the phrase. But if atheism is true, well, obviously I'm proof that atheism is true because I have a lack of belief in gods, and that's all that atheism is. And they've been corrected on it multiple times, but you still see, you know, Frank Turek's next seminar, and he uses the exact same thing.
That is true. That is true. Can't argue that. Godless Granny says, someone asked me if Christianity could be proven, would I believe again? I had to think about that, she says. Now, I get that. I've heard that argument before. But now we're working in those kind of absolutes where they can't prove it. It can't be proven. If it could, they would have been. They would have proven it already. There are certain things that they claim as proof they can't really claim as proof. Only, you know, it's one of those things that in my Spider-Man book, Spider-Man says he's real, so Spider-Man must be real. You know, that kind of shit
New York,
work.
you can go visit New York.
That's right. That's right. Therefore, Spider-Man must be real. Yeah, just because Jerusalem is real, and, you know, best name ever. Atheist is an assertion in philosophy. I don't use that. Well, you know, that's one of the things that I've come across in my experience with fellow atheists or agnostics on the internet is there's this big kind of argument debate going on about what's an atheist and what's an agnostic and who is what and how much of what. Are you an atheist, agnostic, atheist? Steve McRae, looking at you, buddy, because you won't let that shit go.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be so bad if you had a point to make, but going and attacking other people to prove your point is not my way of doing things, I don't feel. Especially if they don't respond to you, to sit there and shadow box at them. Never mind. I'm going on about something I shouldn't be talking about. I don't want to focus on that. That shouldn't take up space in my mind and ruin all my show. One of the things, though, let me say, somebody else said something here. Let me get this. Kristin said, why is this so small? Make it bigger. Oh, there we go. There we go. I did it. Kristin said, oh, not to call him Dawkins. She likes Dawkins. Darth. I can call him Darth. I usually I guess Darth. But anyway, I hadn't heard from Darth since I sent him the email. I sent it to him yesterday. But, I got to say, I said weeks ago, dude, I'll send you an email. And I didn't because I was lazy. But I even had to go back and watch the show because, Kristin banned him. So I couldn't find his email in the chat. I actually had to go watch the show and see because this chat bot that I put up on the screen over here that actually puts it up on the screen, it had put it up on the screen, so YouTube had recorded it. So I had to actually go watch the show to get his email. And I went and did all that, and I had it in my phone. And it just sat there. And then he come and hit my show again. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll go. And I had to go back and find it. I sent him an email. So if he doesn't respond back to me within a day, does not mean he's whooped and he gave up. He's going away. It just means that for some reason he's delayed. He may come back.
He's busy.
He's busy. He's a busy man. There's lots of atheists out there for him to terrorize. And what does he do? Yeah, so that's kind of the thing. But as far as the whole atheist and agnostic battle, that's not really a fight I want to have. That's not. I don't feel that's something we should be consuming our time with. Make the decision of what the definitions are. Let's agree upon them and just go the hell away. Because to sit there and argue about it just doesn't work. There's
I like what epileptic skeptic said in the comments. I agree to what they're saying.
Atheism addresses what I believe.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Atheism addresses what I believe, and agnosticism addresses what I know. And that's why when somebody asks me what my position is, I always say I'm an agnostic atheist, because that is, I don't know if a God exists, but I don't have any good reason to believe there is due to lack of evidence. So I'm going to sit here in what I consider the default position. Now, there's certain people out there, kind of like Aaron Ra, that are Gnostic atheists. He said, I know there's no gods, and here is exactly how I can prove it. And I don't think I'm confident enough to make that stretch, to go all the way there.
I may be. I feel the same way you do, but it's just that hanging up on that word "no."
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on about Aaron. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. Aaron Ra, he's got a lot of very good content in him, and a debate by Michael Shermer. They've probably gotten me the closest to what I would call anti-theism or strong atheism, Gnostic atheism that I can get as of right now until science steps in and helps me out. But a lot of times I get, well, you want there to be no God. And at times I'm like, yeah, I kind of do want there to be no God, because if we're going to only give the situation to where your Christian God exists and no God exists, I would rather the world have not gotten flooded and millions of innocent people die and all the rest of the things that go wrong for God in the Bible, and somehow we get punished for it instead. I was like, yeah, at that point in time, yeah, I hope there's no God. But, if he came down here and said, hey, Justin, what's up? I'm real. I'm going to be like, okay, I am no longer an atheist. Now, after I've made sure that I'm not hallucinating.
Thank you for that. That'd be my first stop. I'd be like, man, what did I smoke? What was in that?
Yeah.
Let me look.
Who put what in my drink?
Give me more.
once I investigate that and I can rule hallucination, and which is really hard to do, hallucination and delusion out of my mind, and I can confirm that God's standing right in front of me, then I would be like, all right, man, you need to sit down because I got some questions. I need you to show me, instead of having all your theist buddies out here speaking for you. Well, I want the all powerful God to tell me exactly what justifies doing all this horrible shit.
Right. Absolutely. Well, there's a plethora of topics to cover. First of all, let's look at the entirety of the Old Testament. Look, dude, you are one murderous, vindictive, petty, incest, blood, murder, death, kill, incest, blood, murder, through foreskins, right? I mean, go murder somebody for their dick flesh. Yeah. That's just, all right, that's point A. Then you've got point B, and you've got the Christian tales, the Christianity, the New Testament. And man, I cannot wait to get to the New Testament. I may even skip some of the boring Old Testament. I don't know. But you get to the New Testament, and they're all conflictory. They tell these different tales, and you get these people talking about how you have to believe in order to understand. And it's all craziness. So you get that. And then the predictions of what will happen in the future. So you've got the past, the current, the past, the current, and then you got the future. And in the future, they talk about God is going to come back. He's going to murder all the non-believers violently or in painful, horrible deaths through plagues or locusts with scorpion tails or whatever the hell they're going to do. Over years, it's going to take years to do this because the God of peace and love and mercy is that way, right? Am I right or am I right?
Right.
So these are the things that it has to answer for. When you go read Revelations, it's not, does it spend a scripture after scripture whiling away the time talking about how wonderful heaven is and beautiful and how any good thing comes from? No, it's all blood and horror, and that's what the religion is from the beginning to the end. So if the God monster was to come to me in a non-hallucination, those are the things that we would have to address.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I really hope within your God Monster series, I'm trying to catch up to where you are now. I've been trying to watch it, as content creators, and I'm doing it every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. It's hard to catch your show. It's hard to catch Neil's show. I mean, obviously I can catch your show because I co-host on it and it's in the morning, and I normally do mine at night. It's harder to get catch Neil's show. But yeah, I hope that I'm sure you're going to do it. Where the Bible states that abortion, is okay. And that's when, the man thinks that his wife is being unfaithful to him. So he takes her down to the tabernacle, and the priest or elder, he gets some water and prays over the water, and he sweeps up some dust from the tabernacle floor. And if she drinks the water and she hasn't been unfaithful, then nothing happens to her. But if she does drink the water, then her stomach swells and she will miscarry. And that's almost word for word in the not the New Testament, but the NIV. It's almost word for word that, okay, well, God's going to bring down a curse onto this woman if she's been unfaithful, and the innocent child inside of her is going to miscarry because of that action.
Right. What a wonderful creature. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then they got their whole pro-life signs that they're holding up, and I'm just like, do you want to read this story and revisit this stance that you have?
Right. Of course, we know that it's primarily a measure of control for women more than it is, because there's no story of, if you've been unfaithful to your wife, that we're going to cut off more of your dick skin than we should have. Than we already have. Right. Give us some more of that dick flesh. No, I mean, right. there are ramifications for infidelity depending on X, Y, and Z. Normally the ramifications for infidelity, say that 3 times really fast, right? The ramifications for infidelity in the Bible, they're not because he cheated on his wife. That's not what he's in trouble for. Somebody please feel free to correct me. It's because he defiled someone else's wife or daughter. Right. Those are the reasons. He defiled someone else's property. That is his punishment. That's what he gets punished for. He doesn't get punished for having sex outside of his marriage. Matter of fact, me and the wife were talking about that. Okay, so let me talk to you about the Evil God Monster of Abraham series. Even as a content creator, because I totally get you. I mean, I've watched some of my friends' stuff, and that they're long. It's long. It's hard for me to sit there because I got shit to do. I got things going on. Mine are usually like, I'm talking between 5 and 12 minutes long. The longest is like 12 or 13 minutes of this evil god monster. They're short. Short. So they're not that bad to go through. And there's only 11. I have number 12 in the pipe. I'm working on it. It's one of my favorites. And I've got this mental block for some reason. I've been doing everything I can to avoid working on it and producing that video. I don't know why. That one, and I got to record some stuff for Damien at Hope. He's even written me the scripts, and I've got to just read it. So I'm going to try to get that stuff. I'm a bad Chris. But that's all they are. They're just really short. So if you want to set aside maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes, that's all it would take for you to watch quite a few of them. You know, it's not that bad. They're not that bad. And that's what it does. It is pointing out specifically, this is, I mean, this is the God you follow. This is the God monster you follow. Okay. All right. So it's not necessarily the God. It's the person who wrote about the God. Well, let's look at that person. That person does this. The very first thing that person does, I mean, outside of moving away from his father with his wife, is marry. Actually, I guess marry his wife would be the first thing, but he marries his sister. So Abram, the father of the Abrahamic religion, married his sister. We all know that he gave her away as his sister to other men throughout the stories, but often most people don't realize that it actually was his sister. So as it goes through the Bible, the first two mentions of these people, of Abram and his family, goes Noah, the descendants from Adam to Noah, and then Noah to Abram. Okay. So Abram had two brothers. One of them died after having at least two children, Lot and Lot's sister. And his other brother married Lot's sister. So Abram's brother married his own brother's dead niece. And Abram married his own sister. So this is an incestuous family. This is the people that the Abrahamic religion was built upon.
And not only that, but Abram, Sarai, his wife at the time,
Sarai,
could not have children. So he got with his concubine, or actually it was Sarai's her slave, and had a child with her. And then years later, God said, "All right, I'm changing your name to Abraham, and she's now Sarah, and you guys are going to have a child together." And Abraham was like, she's old as fuck right now. Like, how is this going to work?
That's right. Well, those things.
Have faith in me.
Have faith. That's right. All those things happen. I have because man, I tell you, this is where I'm getting to in my evaluation of these stories, is to these exact stories. So Abram and Sarai, Abraham was like 60 something or whatever whenever he left where they lived. I think it was or Canaan or wherever they lived at the time. Forgive me for not knowing. And went to Egypt. So he was an old man. How old was she? Later on, and I don't remember getting there, but later on they tell us both their ages, and they're not that different. So she, if I remember right, and it's been a long time since I wrote this the first time, she was like in her 60s. When they go to Egypt, this woman is so beautiful in her 60s, living a hard desert life, but she's still so beautiful that when the Pharaoh sees her, he has to get her. Or his captain or somebody sees her. You know what I mean? These are just the ridiculous parts of the story. And then you're right. So he goes to Egypt. They have sex with the king of Egypt. She gives him an STD. He gives her back, says, "She gave me an STD. You need to get out of here. Take all your shit with you." They go. They do the thing just like you were talking about, where he goes on and he speaks to the Lord about not being able to have children. They can't have children. And then later on, they changed names. After the covenant, when he cuts off the end of his dick, 30 years after, all right, so he was in the 60s. Or so when they left Egypt, 70s possibly, 30 years later-ish, according to the story, after this Pharaoh says they gave him a disease, right? So surely he has the disease. He's got an STD. 30 years later, he's cutting off the end of his dick and creating the first covenant with the Lord. At that point, he becomes Abraham after the covenant, and she becomes Sarah. And then they're able to have children. I think Abram and Sarai died and they were replaced by a younger group. That's my thinking. They were
Yeah,
replaced.
you know what? That could definitely be a possibility.
And but again, to your point, look what they did. It wasn't just that he had sex with Hagar. It's that he had sex with Hagar and bore a child. Now, God, the Lord, was dragging his feet on letting Sarah have the child.
Sarai. And then when he spoke to Abraham, he said, well, I'm going to give you a real child.
Yeah.
This other child over here is just something that we concocted earlier with the slave. But now we're going to give you a real son.
A real one. And but later on, he ends up pitching Hagar. And is it who? What's the son's name?
I don't remember his name. Isaac and Ishmael.
It's Ishmael, isn't it?
Yep. Ishmael actually goes on to create Islam.
Right. But Ishmael is the son of Hagar, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Or at least according to their claims. Ishmael is the son of Hagar, who goes on to blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So, but it's not that he went on. It's good that, you survived. That's wonderful. But the point is that Abram pitched this helpless woman and her child out into the desert alone.
Mm-hmm. I think it also had something to do with the jealousy of Sarah, because Sarah was definitely jealous.
Totally. Sarah became jealous. The Lord didn't know this was going to happen. Well, of course she became jealous, but it was her idea. According to the story, she went to him and said, hey, I know I can't give you a child. Have sex with my slave, Hagar, and have a baby. So she does have sex. He does. She has a baby. Sarah, I think it's Sarah at the time. Yeah, Sarah at the time. Sarai at the time. Says, oh, I'm getting jealous of this lady because she had the baby. I want you to get rid of her and the baby. And he does, and he kicks her out into the desert. He's a desert warlord with plenty of money. Does he kick her out in the desert with a wagon full of supplies and pointing in a direction and anything? No. He just kicks this woman and her child helplessly out into the desert, according to the story. I need to put on my glasses in case I'm wrong. Somebody will let me know. But this is the character. This is the nature of the character of the murderous scumbag that was the patron of this entire religion, of all of these religions. Yeah, and often a point I make, especially when going through the Evil God Monster of Abraham series, and the Evil God Monster of Abraham series. Good morning, Paul. The Evil God Monster of Abraham series, episode 3. I think it's episode 3. I used my episode 3 voice, so it must have been episode 3. Anyway, episode 3, Cain and Abel come out, and we were introduced to Cain and Abel. And there's like just a couple of scriptures in, Cain kills Abel. There's no beauty, there's no love, there's no songs, there's no music, there's no culture, there's nothing. Just right out to blood. And it's blood over the love of God. God, so the first murder was brother killing brother in the name of God, and it has not stopped since. And now we've got 3 religions that encompass almost, 6 billion people on this planet? And they're all based on this murder, death, kill, blood cults created by the character of this person. Now we look at the character of this person and we see that he was a horrible, horrible person from the examples that you and I have given. And we haven't even gotten to the story of
Jephthah.
Jephthah?
Yes. When you get there, I don't know if you've ever heard of the story of Jephthah before, but that is
I was talking Sodom and Gomorrah, but go ahead and refresh us about Jephthah.
Okay, so Jephthah, this is a little bit later in the story, but Jephthah was a great warrior. And a lot of times when I talk to theists and we talk about Abraham hearing a voice inside of his head and almost killing his son, I get but he didn't know. An angel stopped him right beforehand. And that's when I'm like, okay, let's skip to the story of Jephthah. So Jephthah was a great warrior, and the Israelites wanted him. And he said, okay, so I'm gonna fight for these people. And he asked for God's help, and he said, God, please help me, win this war. If you help me and I come back victorious from this war, I will sacrifice the first thing that walks through my front door. No, I'm not sure if as a burnt offering. And I'm not sure if he thought a chicken or a sheep or something like that was going to walk through his front door when he got back, but his daughter was the one that came out. And once he came out, it said like he got really upset and began to weep and cry and scream in agony because the deal that he had made with God. Now his daughter said, you made this promise, you have to fulfill this promise to God, and I'm okay with that. But let me run off into the desert with my friends for 3 months and weep because I'm still a virgin and I'm not going to be able to have kids. And then when I come back, then you can burn me to ashes.
She had a wild sex party. You know it.
That's it went off into the desert. And
I wasn't familiar with the story when you said the name, but as you told us, oh yeah, I'd heard about that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. And
it's a great one to kind of come right after. Oh, well, God's not bad because he told Abraham to stop before Abraham had to kill his son. And I was like, all right, let's jump to Jephthah then.
Yeah. And Jephthah is in the Bible, and Jephthah approaches God or talks to the Lord or makes a prayer or whatever and says, like you said, God, if you help me win this battle, I will offer up as burnt offering the first person who comes through the door to greet me when I get home. So I will make that sacrifice for you if you will give me this battle. And, so God approved and gave him the battle and let him win the day. That's example.
God is also all knowing.
Well, right. That's example set number 1 is that God approved and therefore God allowed him to win. And then then he goes home and he tells the daughter what he's done. And like you said, through the tears, but she, because the tone of the story is approving of such sacrifices, says, don't worry, Father, let me make the sacrifice. I understand, blah, 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 blah. And she gives herself willingly as the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. It's kind of the same thing, but this is before Caesar and before Jesus. This was the Old Testament way of going, listen, if God wants you to give your shit away, great story. That's a good one to put up against the Abraham and Isaac story.
Yep. A crazy off the wall story that I didn't know as a believer, because I saw Kristin in the comments was saying something about, did you guys read these stories when you were believers? And my experience within Catholicism when I was growing up as a Catholic, we stuck to the Gospels, man. It was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and some Psalms and Acts, and just stick to the good old narrative of God is loving and Jesus is here to sacrifice himself to save us all. I didn't really hear these stories, nor do I remember them, and I'm sure that they might have come up every now and then, but there was always a justification. And when I already had the thought in my mind that you couldn't not believe in God, I didn't know that not believing in God was even a thing. So I mean, I had no choice. I was raised in a belief system to where you grew up knowing that God existed. And me being a kid, I wasn't the guy I am now going around, hey friends, I know, can we stop playing wiffle ball for a second to talk about if you believe in God or not? Like I didn't do that. So now that I'm older, but yeah, back to the funny story that I was talking about, that I just heard it a couple months ago. There was a guy by the name of Elisha, not Elijah, Elisha. And he wasn't one of the apostles, but he was a follower of Jesus. Okay. He was a well-known man. And these two kids come up to him and they start calling him names, calling him Baldy, because I guess he didn't have any hair on his head. And he got mad and he prayed up to God to send a curse down. And there was 42 children standing there, and 2 of them came up and called him names. And yet he sent a curse out to where 2 female bears come out of the woods and maul all 42 children to death. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm really going to enjoy that part of my Evil God Monsters series. Yeah. That's another one of my favorites. There's a lot of good stories in the Bible. There's a tale, and I'm going to speak vaguely, right? I know exactly in Timothy, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This is a vague one. But there's a vague one where I think it was Moses was on his way. He had been sent by God to talk to the Pharaoh, if I remember right. And somewhere along the way, on the road, God approaches and is going to kill. It just changes subject like a dream, where it goes from one thing to another. So it just changes all of a sudden to where God meets Moses and his wife on the road or something. And he is going to kill Moses for something. I don't remember why, but Moses' wife right there takes a flint rock and cuts off the end of her son's dick with a rock
and everything's
knife,
good to go then.
And touches the bloody flesh to Moses' feet, and it saves him from their God. What kind of craziness is this? What is this? What kind of God is that would do these things? This is Moses. This Moses. Who wants little kid dick flesh, put up bloody dick flesh, and put on your feet? That's weird. Is that weird? If I wanted that done, if you know what, guys, we're going to create this secret group. And in order to be in our group, you've got to give us up the dick flesh of your kids. Who would go for that today? And rub it on my feet, or rub it on somebody else's feet, anybody's feet. Somebody out there's going, I like feet. Are they pretty feet?
I mean, today, in my opinion, something worse happens today, and that's within Jewish tradition. A couple months ago, I actually saw they recorded a video of it, and I didn't exactly know what it was until I had to turn it off within disgust and anger. But it was a brand new Jewish baby that was just born, and it's tradition to circumcise that baby a couple days after. So what they do is they take him to the rabbi in the church, and the rabbi has the surgical stuff and does that, and then he sucks the foreskin off.
He sucks the blood off the bloody foreskin. Yeah. After they pull the foreskin off, he sucks the blood off of there. Oh my God.
I'm like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my entire life. How could this be part of a religion that people say okay to this?
Yeah, did you just hear about this? That they do that?
Because
I'm gonna blow your mind.
6 months ago.
Okay, I'm gonna blow your mind. If you haven't heard the rest of this, peep this, my homie. There was a rash, I think it's like 2012 to 2014, somewhere along there. We can find it on the internet quite easily, to where these rabbis were doing that, except for they had herpes on their lip. So they, within 8 days of the birth, I think it's at the 8th day possibly, I'm not really sure, they take and they cut off the flesh of the penis in the circumcision, and then there's the blood that develops along the top of the penis. Somewhere in their history, they got this bright idea to suck that off of there. But these guys had herpes on their lip. So they gave herpes to babies during the circumcision, and they died. Several of these babies actually died from catching this virus during this time, blah, blah, right? I mean, they're even saying it in the thing, herpes, the herp derp. They're giving them the herp derp. God loves many things, including the smell of burning flesh. But don't you forget the herp derp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, again, coming back to why the hell would anybody believe this crap?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, you go over the when he goes to Egypt to try and free his people.
I will.
And he gives his sister to the Pharaoh. Or his wife.
If I may. Okay. Abram takes Sarai to Egypt to get coin for no other reason than to live. And then they leave afterwards. Moses later goes to free his people from Egypt.
Yes, you're correct.
Right, two separate things. Carry on now.
So he goes to offer his sister, wife, whatever she is.
Sounds like he's from Alabama, both. Don't it? Here's my sister wife. Here's my wife and my sister, and there's one woman that's standing behind him. That's a Robin Williams joke. I stole that from Robin Williams. Credit where credit is due. Carry
Absolutely.
On. Yes.
But yeah, and he gives her to the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh takes her into his chambers. And then you realize that when he comes out and he gives them back, he says, now me and my entire family have a disease. Yes. Did you have one crazy incest family orgy? Or what? How were you not, if this was an STD, how did your entire family get it?
Well, all right, so that's a good question. It could depend on the various things.
It could. How he meant that can be transferred non-sexually,
right? And well, that's true. But what did it mean to be a? I mean, the pharaohs of old were inbred. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've got they had problems with that very thing. So yes, so even if it had just been regular old syphilis, yes. So he did have a wife who may have also been his sister, the pharaoh. Literally, so those things did happen. So also, did the Pharaoh just have sex with his wife? You know, did he have concubines? Did he have mistresses? What,
Mhm.
regardless, Abram and his sister wife gave a disease to the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh ran them off.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. The cooties, the crotch cooties. Yeah, exactly right. I think the saber-toothed crotch cookies. I'm guessing crotch cookie because 30 years later, he's cutting off the end of his willy. Right? You're like,
Yeah.
Willie, I like you, Willie, but you've got to go.
Dear penis.
But dear penis, yeah. But there are things that happen. Certain things that happen. Not that I want to go there, but there's certain things that happen whenever you have certain STDs, such as discharge and other things that a person. And they did it in Egypt, by the way. Circumcision was something they had done in Egypt for some time, and he had just come from Egypt, so no biggie, no stretch where he got the idea. But whenever you have things like that, it kind of might make sense. Whenever you've got an STI discharge and stuff, and you got to keep it clean or go through these problems that come with that sort of thing. And if you don't keep it clean, blah, 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 blah. Thank you, Gary. I'm still working on it though, but it was impromptu. Just your whore mouth. Anyway. So, there was lots of things. So I could see where they probably started thinking, oh man, we need to do this as a, this will help, but the whole relating it to their God and everything, and then that covenant, I can't wait till I get to that covenant. I'm almost there because the covenant with God is one of the things I talk about. It's part of my script, right? You were talking about Duncan Dawson and Darth Dawkins and his script. This is part of my script. Whenever they did the first covenant with man, where they decided to go ahead and start whacking off their willies, that happened. They brought out, he built 12 altars of rock. They brought out some cows. They cut the cow's throat. They caught the blood in bowls and sprinkled the bowls upon the altars. And then they sprinkled the blood upon the worshipers who were singing "Holy, Holy is the Lord," or whatever they were, worship, worship, worship. This is horrific. Absolutely. That's the first covenant. It's a blood cult. It's all blood everywhere. Blood literally everywhere. The leader of this cult has just whacked off his willy and is now spraying blood upon the altar, literal blood, and the followers. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of the Abrahamic religion. And so, what's that?
I was saying, had to think that these things can be justified by people who 2,000 years later,
right,
don't really understand. I mean, I don't know if anybody really understands what actually was meant to be portrayed, because I mean, if you watch a Bart Ehrman lecture, he shows how unreliable these stories really are. Now we can tell these stories and we can talk about these stories because we don't take these stories as, for the most part, as actually happening.
Right.
I don't have a good reason to believe any of the stuff is actually true. Some of it may be,
or based on somebody could possibly be, but that doesn't make it real.
Yeah. It does. Yeah, it doesn't make it real. So we can talk about it for the sake of conversation in a hypothetical sense. But these people that really believe that this stuff happened, like, how do you justify all of this stuff? And the answer is just focus on Sermon on the Mount. Just focus on Jesus saying, turn the other cheek and love God. And that, just focus on that. Don't worry about all this other stuff. That's the Old Testament. That's what atheists use to attack us with. So just focus on, on the New Testament, which I have a problem with the New Testament.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't even gotten to the New Testament yet. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have the golden rule that has existed for years. For a long time before Jesus ever came about. And his golden rule is treat others as you would treat yourself, or as you wanted to be treated. Well, Chris, what if I like blunt honesty and you like a little bit of sugarcoating? Now, would it be in your best interest for me to treat you like I'd like to be treated?
Probably not.
Exactly. So I think that I have a better solution to that. And you treat people how they would want to be treated, how that person would want to be treated, which would require you to get to know that person a little bit and ask some questions and see who they are as a person and what they like and what they dislike, which would make people get along a little bit better. Plus, you can keep a record of of what people like and what people don't like, so you know how to react in certain situations.
Right.
Jesus being the Son of God, how did he not get that?
Oh, right. Absolutely. Joy,
I'm just a little human.
absolutely. Perfect. Joy Okafor, did I say that right? Says Almighty did not have a clue that the first covenant would not work, but still went ahead to give it anyway. All right, back real quick to that whole first covenant. So they had the first covenant, and that is sacred. That's a sacred act that you only do if you want to be in our group. If you believe enough and you want to be in our group, you're going to do this thing, and that's your proof. It's sacred. It's part of getting into their boys' club because this is God, right? Later on in the Moses story, I think it's the Moses story. I could be wrong. There was somebody. They were going from point A to point B, and they had this land to cross. And they tell the men of this land, "Hey, if you want to marry our beautiful daughters, you've got to go through this sacred ceremony." And so the men of this town go through the sacred ceremony. And when you do, you're cutting off the end of your dick. So you're down for 2 or 3 days, and during that time, after the men of this town agreed so they could marry the women of this traveling group, they cut off the end of their dicks like this. They agree to it, and they're down, and the Jews go in and slaughter them all because they're helpless, because they had the end of their dicks cut off the day before, right? This is the sacredicity. And see, I make words up too for free. I didn't charge you guys nothing for that new word. But this is how sacred these things are to them. This is a horrible, disgusting thing. The more I study this religion and the book, it doesn't matter what language it's in. It doesn't matter what translation. Bring them at me, because they're all ugly. I'm using the NIV version, which is the nicest, most softest version you could possibly have, I think, of the Bible. And it's still just nothing but murder, death, kill, plague, disease, fear. So, yeah, and Andy was hiding in there. You didn't see Andy? Do you have a few more minutes? Are you ready to go? It's 8 o'clock.
I got some time.
You got some time. Do you mind if we take a break? I want to try something. I've never done this before. I'm going to try.
You'll try to be right back?
I'm going to try the be right back. So we're going to do the be right back. It's been an hour. I'm going to put up a be right back thing, and we'll be right back in like less than 5 minutes. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. Justin, if you'd like to get a cup of coffee. People watching, if you'd like to get a cup of coffee, we'll be right back. Okay? How's that sound? We're going to try this. I wish I had a commercial. Father Flanagan's line of inflatable altar boys coming to a Walmart near you. Yeah, I got to work that out. We'll be right back, guys. And we're back. See, that was cool. You guys were there. We were there. See, what happens is when I close my eyes, you all disappear. That's just, you're back and you're gone. That's just how it works. So, yeah, see, look, they're back. All right. So you were saying about your, going to the little nerds room. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a party at my house. Not really a party, but kind of like a get together. And he's now my best friend. But when I met him for the first time, he actually came up to me and he asked me. I had two kids at the time. I had a 5-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. And he came up to me and asked me, "Hey, dude, hey, where's your little girl's room at?" And I looked at him like, "What in the hell are you trying to get in my daughter's room for? Like, what kind of messed up human being are you asking me in my house where my little girl's room is?" And he's like, "No, no, no, no. I'm sorry. I didn't. I'm sorry. I meant was your bathroom." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So I'm an idiot." Got it.
Yep. So that's what. Yes, we're gonna. I went to the little atheist room while we were. That's how that all came about. And he's gonna steal that. You're welcome to steal that. I can put that on a shirt. I'm going to the little atheist room. Right back. Only Pete a little. Well, yeah. So in the thing, let's see, Neil. Just so you guys know, I've got Sarah Kay on tonight, but early at 2 p.m. Pacific, and Rachel. Hey, that would be wonderful, Neil. I can actually make that. Man, Neil, I love your stuff. It's just I've got this narrow frame. You know about the time, like the wife is home and she just got home, and we're usually doing dinner. But that's wonderful. I'll try to be on that show. I'm gonna go set my reminder because I want to be reminded about that one. I'll try to make that after show. But
Neil, I want to get on your after shows too. And I was for a while, and now that I'm streaming, I I'm doing it Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And the wife would totally kick my ass if I was on the computer up here every single night, not hanging out with her. So I'm gonna try and get on there whenever I can. I at least watch it and show up in the chat, but getting on the after party with you, which I would love to do, is just hard because I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. Though that I kind of have the same problem. Last last night I got an invitation, so we go down and we're gonna watch a movie. We're getting ready and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna watch a movie. And we were finishing dinner and we're getting ready to watch a movie. And Dick Dawson retweets this thing and he says, "Hey, we're gonna go live. Can you guys make it?" My wife is rolling up, ready for some movie. And I'm like, "No, I cannot make it. I am sorry." Because, she would just club me like a baby heart seal right there. Not that I would support baby heart seal clubbing. None of that.
I don't want to hear excuses.
No. Yeah. And the club goes up and I'm like, "No, honey." But not in front of the dogs. Yeah. So let's see. Good morning, Randolph. How are you doing? He was on the show Saturday too. So thank you, Randolph, for being on the show. I just want to mention again, I'm going to be, I passed 900 subscribers. I've passed 910 subscribers. I am going to try. Today's the 27th of the month. I don't know that it's possible, but I would like to see about getting to 1,000 by the 15th of May. That may not happen, but because I'm normally trying to grow my channel. I'm always out there doing what I do to grow the channel. But now as you get close to 1,000, people are willing to go, "Hey, let's get Chris to 1,000, let's get, so I'm going to look to my community to help get me to 1,000. For those of you who missed it, I reached the 912 subscribers now. That's right. I will reach the 4,000 hour mark today or tomorrow. I won't know until if we do it today, I don't know that we'll get it. I need like 60 hours, right? Normally a show runs 40 to 60 hours of watch time every day. So I'm thinking today or tomorrow we should get that total watch time. And then it's just a matter of like a month. I'm hoping in a couple of weeks. And then, like I said, we don't expect money. I don't expect to get rich, start wearing my chains, my gold, none of that yet. I want to wear my flat bill hat. I will never wear if you find my body in a ditch and there's a flat bill hat on me, somebody killed me and put that thing on my head. You just got to know.
Oh, I got a hat for you. And I just want to throw this out there for anybody that wants to get one. So I tried out Teesprings, and you were kind of talking about Teesprings. I also have this other place called Printful that I heard about.
Oh yeah.
And I made a hat on Printful. It is a red trucker's hat, and it's an exact replica of the MAGA hat, but it's Make America Secular Again.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Just the same. Yeah. So I got it on Printful right now. If anybody's interested in that,
Okay.
I'm gonna order one. It's gonna be my favorite hat that I wear everywhere.
There you go.
Make America secular again.
People are gonna stop and look. They'll be like,
Yep.
especially because of your look. If they don't see that hat square on and read what it says, they're gonna automatically
think it's a MAGA hat.
There's gonna be some prejudgment going on. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting.
I'm gonna turn around with my atheist T-shirt on and my secular hat, and I'm gonna be like, "I'm sorry, what did you say?
What up, bitches?"
Oh, okay.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's best name ever says she wouldn't dare wear a red hat ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just want to point this out. It's essentially from my perspective, totally my perspective, my words. I own this just for me. It's the equivalent of wearing a white hood, but instead of saying Ku Klux Klan, you're saying I hate the Klan, but you're still wearing a white hood. That's essentially the same thing. That's how I see it.
Gotcha.
But I'm a weirdo. I actually have my own merch. Now, she's been telling me about a different merch. I need to get on the merch thing. Of course, I got
Threadless. I've heard of Threadless. I haven't tried it out yet.
Threadless. No, I have not.
Threadless.
I have not looked into Threadless yet because I am a bad person. I'm a slacker. I slack. I do. Grumpy old dude wants to know, do you need to believe in God? I misunderstood.
Yeah, he said I need I believe in Grumpy God t-shirt.
Yes. Got to run later. See you later. Andy, it's nice. Thank you for showing up. I'll let you get, so as we talked about the 1,000 subs and whatnot, I'm going to have 1,000 sub stream party, and I'm going to, most of the time I don't do the panel where everybody can come on, like an after party for other people. But this is going to be more like that. I'm going to start by inviting some of those who helped me, who really critically helped me in the beginning whenever it's very, very important. And those will be the slots. That'd be like Critical Cripple, Kristin, best name ever. She'll probably be in the chat for that stream. She doesn't do a live stream kind of thing, but Math Pig, me and Math Pig don't talk. I don't talk to him in a while. He may not even like me. I don't know, but he was there for me in the beginning whenever I was new and I needed somebody to help, and he helped. So I'm going to get a list of those people who really helped me get this far. And I'm going to have a thank you really for them more than for me. But, let's talk about the awesomeness of Kristin here. I've had Aaron Raw on my show. I've had Eric Murphy on my show. I've had Vila Bianca on my show. Now I'm going to have Seth Andrews on my show manana tomorrow. I'm going to work on the sound. I don't know. I have a sound issue. I got to figure out. But I'm going to have Seth Andrews on my show tomorrow. All of those people are because of her. She's in one way either gotten them for me or prodded me to go get them. She's like, have you talked to this person yet? Jenna Belk is going to be on my show. I'm not sure when. She even contacted me this morning and said, hey, but I don't know what she meant. When's she next opportunity? Hides in box. Chopped liver. Oh, yes, Neil. Obviously, Neil would have to be one of the ones on the list. Clearly. I apologize, Neil. You were kind of a given. For those who don't know, I really have to say, I put the work into the show, but Neil got me my first guests. I was just like nobody, and somebody's like, hey, here's this Neil guy. And Neil probably saw my show and thought, hey, he knows what he's doing. Ha, ha, ha. But,
yep.
Sort of, yeah.
It seems like all of the people that that helped you out. I have similar stories about how they've helped me out. Neil was my first show. I see we're talking about, Randolph's in here. Randolph's been a really good friend. I've actually had some phone conversations with him. He's a really, really good guy. Best name Kristin actually set me up with Objectively Dan, and I'm not this coming Friday, but next Friday I'm supposed to be co-hosting on Truth Wanted already.
See, that's wonderful.
So it's insane. How and Math Pig is actually going to be moderating on Saturday on my channel. I'm actually going to be he's going to be moderating a debate between me and a Young Earth Hellfire preacher, a formal debate on if it's reasonable to believe that the Bible is true and authoritative. So, all these people, thank you guys so much for everything that you do. And it's not like just one person. It seems like they're helping out anybody that they can. And those are really the people that we like to have in this community.
Randolph Richardson said he feels that he's here with a lot of friends. This is such a wonderful community. That's the experience I've had. Now, there are two different experiences that you can have. And because I started a year ago in January, I made a few videos. I said, this ain't happening fast enough. I need to get on some live streams. Poked my head in a live stream. And what did I find? I found less than friendly environment. People arguing, trashing each other. So one guy debates this other guy, guy B loses, and it's not enough to just lose the debate. Guy A goes on to trash you in videos publicly over and over and over again, release video after video after video about how you didn't understand what was going on, how you missed the point. I thought, oh my God, there's no way I'm getting into that. No way. None. You can even go back and watch. I did a series of videos on my YouTube channel where I was reading my book from 2013. And in my book, chapter 2, I think it is, it says, as you go forward in the story, this is what I'm saying. When I say atheist, this is what I mean. When I say agnostic, this is what I mean. That way I'm clarifying these terms for us. And in that video, I had just experienced this thing where they're arguing over what's an atheist, what's an agnostic, and trashing people and making it was just really ugly. In that video, I'm going, I did this a few years ago and I didn't realize there'd be this big, huge thing. Now I don't know whether to say I'm an atheist or an agnostic atheist or what, because it's going to start a big fight. But in my book, this is my point for the definitions because of those things. That was my experience then, and it was not a pleasant experience. Now, though, so I put it down. I stopped working on this for months and months and months. I made 1 or 2 videos in that time. November, I picked it back up again. I started making videos. Wasn't happening fast enough. In December, I started getting on some live streams with some other people. And then, this was like that's when I met Kristin and Dave, Critical Cripple, and these other wonderful people who lifted my boat and helped me up. And then I started doing my own live channel. And every morning I would get there and there'd be a wolf. And it would be Dave. Now, Dave doesn't run my show. Dave's probably running a show right now, sucking viewers away from my show, Dave. You're sucking them away, Dave. But I don't care. Dave's awesome. Dave helped me when I needed. When there was nobody there watching, there was Dave. And that meant something, that there was somebody there watching. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a 1,000 subscriber party and try to get these people on so I can say thanks. I'm getting excited about that.
It's a good idea.
With any luck, that'll happen. I don't know. Like I say, I'm going to have, you often think that, I'm going to have Seth Andrews on my show tomorrow. As soon as we're done with this show and the stream is done, my software will reset. Huh?
You might be there after the show tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think so. But as soon as I'm done here, my show will reset and I can create tomorrow's show, and I'm going to make it with Seth Andrews, and I'm going to send him the links, and hopefully he'll shill it out to his people. And I would like to see that I get a bump. But I don't really know that that's where the big subscriber boosts come from. I've never had anything go viral or nothing like that. So one of these days, something will go.
I think you've said before that you get a bigger bump when you're on the bigger person's show. Yep. Like if he's more well known than him being on your show. But I still believe that that's why I'd like to have you on my show. I think I have Neil coming on my show on Thursday. But yeah, it still helps get that little extra bump because of the people that either you or Neil or Seth Andrew knows compared to the little guy like me.
Yeah. Well, whenever you get up on, see, Gary's here lifting my boat. Thank you, Gary. Whenever you get on there and you start streaming and you get groups of people supporting you and getting your name out there and growing your channel, those things, those all help. And again, in my case, I wouldn't, if it hadn't been for those key people. And okay, back to the experience though. The first experience I had was a poor and unfortunate experience. It made me afraid of live streaming, made me afraid of getting out and putting my face out there. The second experience, I got in with the right group and a good community who was cool and caring and chill, and they've helped. Had it not been for that, my success, what little success I've had so far, would not be here. And that's kind of what I was going for. So, boom. Let me see if I got anything else here. Channel tag. See, I had a list. See, what I was going to talk about was, how was your weekend? Working real hard on the burnout thing. I'm trying to burn out. I'm almost there. And though that's the reason why I didn't have a guest for this morning, because for me, the stress of the burnout part comes from the getting the guests and scheduling the guests and building the show. Showing up, turning on my computer and sitting here and laughing with people and talking to people in the chat does not bother me at all. I don't see that as a stressful thing. It's all the
Mhm.
scheduling and the production, the producer part. So every now and then I go, I just want to take a break from that. And that's kind of what I've
Mhm.
done over the past week or so. I've kind of taken a break for that. Therefore, I didn't have a guest today. I was fully prepared to go, hello, dancing monkey. That's me, you know, and just go all alone. If you were going to be tomorrow, I've got some wonderful guests. I've got a guest host, Andy. I've got Seth Andrews is going to be on the show. That's going to be wonderful. No problem there. Wednesday, I don't have a guest. Thursday, I don't have a guest. Friday, I don't have a guest.
Mhm.
All this because of my, it's my trying to relax, my decompression,
Yeah.
And then but today I'm going to have to pop up and I'm going to start scheduling some guests and get out. I got to get out of that. I got to stop doing that. I got a show to run,
Mhm.
So that's kind of my burnout.
You've really helped me out with that because you introduced me to Wes Sturdivant.
Mm-hmm. Wes is
And
awesome.
Wes has been my right hand man. He's creating my website, get my website up and running. I now send him pictures of people and whoever's going to be on my show, and he does his magic in Photoshop. He creates my thumbnails. He basically does all the behind the scenes work, shows up to all my shows, comes into my after parties, and even has conversations. So he's been like my right hand man, and he's taken a lot of the burden that you're talking about off of me as somebody that's brand new to this, and I'm still running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Like, I got to schedule shows as a guy who nobody really knows, and I'm still trying to get people on my show. And he's helped out so much, so I want to give him a thanks too.
Oh, that's wonderful. My thinking is, and then me and the wife have toyed with this idea because right now there's not a lot of me. My show doesn't require a lot in the way of scheduling and stuff. It might sound like it does, but it really does. It certainly doesn't take a full-time employee to just schedule a few shows out for a week. But the wife and I have been tinkering with the idea of hiring a what do you call it? A virtual assistant to take care of that, like Marie Delafont or something like that. To once I start getting some, because that's the only part that I really dread is the contact. Matter of fact, again, I have to bring it back to Kristin. She made me do it. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have so many of the guests on my show because I dragged my feet. And she's like, "Did you talk to this person?" I'm like, "Well, no, I haven't talked to them yet." She's like, "You need to get this person on your show." And this person, if it hadn't been for her, so she does that then. So that's my deal. One of these days, I think what I might do is I may take a show from like February 16th. We had Dr. Kyle on. It was a wonderful Sci-Fi Saturday show, and run just some really cool shows during the week, recordings of shows, and I even put on there, "Hey, this is a recording. I'm taking a vacation. Check this out." Sort of like DJs do. Bob and Tom, for example, they'll shut down the whole show for a week or 2 weeks, take a vacation, and just play pre-recorded shows. It's not ideal. It's not the best, but it's better than burning out and giving up, stopping, and just quitting.
Absolutely.
Or just plugging on. So those are the things on my list I think that I had to talk about. Broke the 900 subs, Darth Dawkins' email. If nobody had showed up, I was going to talk about sci-fi with by myself and computer tech by myself. I was going to make people suffer.
I was really excited. I was tuning into your Saturday show, which I'm not super sci-fi, so I'm really no help there. But I did. You guys brought up Prometheus, and I had just watched Prometheus a couple days before, and me and the wife had no idea that Prometheus was like a prequel to the Alien movies.
Yeah.
To which I've never seen the Alien movies either, but I was like, watching the movie, I was like, I wonder if Chris would like to talk about this on Sci-Fi Saturday. And then you guys
never seen the Alien movies. What kind of jackass comes on my show has never seen the Alien movie? I couldn't help myself. That's free, guys. You got that for free.
Yep, absolutely.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying. I just couldn't miss the opportunity to make folks laugh, especially myself. I laughed. That was really all that counts.
But
you were saying Alien movies.
Yeah, the Alien movies, I haven't seen those, and I had no clue. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of them, but I haven't seen them from start to finish to understand the storyline.
Of course.
And then Prometheus was absolutely cool, but I was thinking the exact same thing when I was watching the movie that you guys said in the show. It was like, why are they okay, so they've been there for like 30 seconds and they're like, the air's good to go. Let's take our helmets off. I'm like, what are you doing? This is way more. This is disgusting when it comes to science.
It was horrible. I mean, is there air? You don't know.
Yeah, right. And then I'm gonna sit here and try and pet this alien snake looking thing, and
right? Like, what the hell?
Step back, brother. Step back and get some distance. Get your Pokedex out and try to figure out what kind of creature this is.
Oh yeah, and that Irish dude who was like, he was or whatever Scott. He was a Scotsman. That's right. He was a jerk. Anyway, yeah, that was unfortunate. That was the first one, and that sucked. You're asking yourself, just like we were talking about, you can breathe. Now, they did go through the whole, well, the sensors say there's, or something, right? And one of them, it's fresh air. I guess the guy took off his mask first, like a jerk, and his girl, anyway, I don't remember.
Well, that's still what we do in the military.
You take off your mask.
Whenever there's, what they do is whenever there's like a chemical warfare or a chemical agent, what they do is they find the youngest or the lowest rank, most expendable person, and everybody sits around and says, all right, you take your mask off. You take your gas mask off. And if he starts choking and foaming at the mouth, all right, guys, leave your mask on.
There you go.
So you take the most expendable guy and throw him to the wolves and see how he does.
With the first movie, that's kind of what happened. But that guy was willing. The second movie, I don't even know. The second movie, they go to a completely different planet, if I remember correctly, and they get out. They march across this, I want to say, field. It's not mountainous, but it's kind of a hilly area, and there's this long field. They march across this long field to an old ship, and they don't wear any protective gear at all. I don't remember if they were armed. I think they were armed. I don't remember though. I guess I got to go suffer through it again to see if they were armed. It's like, why would you be armed? Anyway, so they go through this. They step on these things that pop like a spores, and it gets in the guy's ear. And like a day and a half later, it bursts out his chest because it's got a little bit of time. Oh no! It's not a day and a half later. It's not 2 days later. It's minutes later. It bursts out of his chest, and it's the size of the guy's arm. Minutes, these spores. I mean, this is just ridiculous. It was ridiculous for them to go on the planet without any notion of covering their heads at all. Have you seen the second one? You saw Prometheus. You haven't seen...
Yes, I saw Prometheus.
Oh.
But I've seen bits and pieces of it. I haven't seen it from start to finish.
Okay, all right. So, well, anyway, the second, they made another movie, Requiem, I think, or whatever. I'm not really sure. And it kind of the same premise. They go and land on a planet. They don't put on protective equipment. Shit goes wrong. Rather, just ridiculously fast. Stupidly fast. Stupid fast. It was stupid fast. Best name ever, Red Shirt, is a Star Trek. Oh, yeah, I'm sure she gets it. Okay, so the wife, the evil one, purchased me some shirts for Sci-Fi Saturday. Yesterday, my shirts arrived. I think they were, yes, yesterday. And one of them is, I don't remember the color. It's like a mauve, not mauve. It's like a military green kind of color. Anyway, it says Quark's Bar. So I will be wearing my Quark's Bar shirt at the next Sci-Fi Saturday. The other three were wrong. They were all wrong. They weren't the right shirt. One of them was supposed to say, it was supposed to be a red shirt. And it said something about, I'm reminded by the conversation going on in the chat. And it said something to the nature, the fact of, this is my red shirt. Or this is my other red shirt. And it's got a Star Trek logo. Or I'm a red shirt. I won't be around long. Or whatever. I don't know. I didn't get that shirt. I also didn't get another one. It's the DS9 blueprint on another shirt. Didn't get that one. The wife got one for herself. It said Garrick's Bar. No, Garrick's Fashions or something. If you're familiar with DS9, that one didn't show up either. We got a stupid Star Wars one. Sorry, Star Wars fans. We got this Star Wars ones. It was red. It was the right color, but it had a stormtrooper's face on it, and it said something Star Warsy, And then we got another one that was like a potato chasing a pickle. I have no idea what that was. Yeah, it's just weird shit. Like, we'll just throw in this random shirt. What about Star Trek and Star Wars makes you think random pickle chasing potatoes? I don't know.
Maybe.
But
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm only 3 episodes into the original series of Star Trek, but thanks to you, I've actually started watching it.
Oh, you poor man. I don't know how to take that. The first 3 seasons, there's only 3 seasons, 79 episodes, I think, if I remember right. It's not that bad.
23 episodes a season.
But by doing this, by suffering through this, later on, when you watch the rest of this stuff, you'll understand and appreciate everything. There won't be any gaps in your knowledge of, what's going on. Sometimes they do things as a Star Trek fan. I'm like, what are you doing? And you'll be that way too, right? I used to really love the Doctor because I grew up watching the original series, and then my mom recorded all the VHSs. She had the VHS recordings of the Next Gen, blah 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 blah. And I watch these new movies, and the Doctor's just an idiot. He's just an idiot. All he does is bitch about stuff, complain about stuff, yell, make stupid comments. That's all he does. If he opens his mouth, nothing good is coming out of there. And I really like Carl Urban. I think he's a great actor. I enjoyed him in Doom. I enjoyed him in a lot of things that he's been in. I don't like this character. I don't like the new Doctor in the new movies. Just, yeah. Degrassi. What is Degrassi? I don't know what Degrassi is. You'll start watching Star Trek if I start watching Degrassi. Assuming B represents belief, what is the proposition P that you're... I see. I don't know what they're... Apparently there are things going on. Amber. Oh, hi, Amber. Tell Amber I said hello. I hope she's doing good. Ed, I hope that's going good. Good morning, Steve. Haven't seen you in a day or 3. We've been hiding. We were hiding. I don't know where you were, but we were hiding. And True Tech. I don't know what's going on with your stuff, man. I appreciate you watch the show, but you post like book length things in my comments. I don't get it. It doesn't keep. There's too many words. More words. Too many words. Damn it, Jim. Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not an escalator. I remember that episode. They're trying to run from these bad guys. There's a woman with him. She's got this like fur bikini top on, and she's got like a fur bikini bottom. She's some kind of native person. And Jim Kirk is naturally trying to hit it and quit it because that's how he rolled. And they're running from these bad guys, and they're running up the hill. And Jim is like, help her, Bones, up the side of this slopey hill with these loose rocks, and Bones says, damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not an escalator. I was there. I actually didn't see it the first time. Don't you bitches get to thinking I was born in 69 or stuff, or 63 when that stuff, 66. I didn't know. I'm not that old. Not you bitches, those other bitches. Sorry. They knew who I'm talking about. They show banned the atheist comments. I've never had, I don't know. I'm not sure what you're talking about comments or atheists. I don't know. True Tech. I don't know. I've never had any of my shows banned as far as I know. I've never had any of my comments banned by YouTube. I've never had any of my shows banned, blocked, or angry. I haven't even had angry letters from Facebook. So I don't know what anybody's talking about.
No death threats?
Not yet. Not from Facebook. I did have this one guy.
Death threats.
You ain't real until you're getting your death threats.
Yeah, exactly.
I did have, you may have tried to explain that was part of the it's really too long part. Death threat. I did get this one guy. Duncan got it. Duncan is there for me. He is. Mm-hmm. I did have this one guy before the turn of the year. I was doing the Evil God Monster of Abraham series. And he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're misunderstanding the scriptures and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, you need to stop. And then, you really should stop doing this. And then, you shouldn't do this anymore. And then a day or so after the first of the year, I dropped another video and he's like, I warned you. I told you you should stop. And I'm like, ban, delete. I don't need this. You don't warn, it's comments like that started the beginning of the movie. And then shortly later, the hero gets his whole family slaughtered by some nutbag. I'm not playing that. I'm not engaging that. You just need to go the fuck away and go away now. So if they threaten me, if they get any kind of weird, just be gone.
You also got to watch out because sometimes people are truly genuine with it. But sometimes when you hear stay safe out there, man, you're like sitting here thinking like, what are you, what are your intentions?
Right. And it's odd that you say that because I sent that email to Darth this morning or yesterday. And the email begins with, I hope you and your family are staying safe and healthy. Now, I say that to everybody. I say that in chats when I pop in. Hello, everybody. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. Safe and healthy is the new thing today because, this is not like, it's not like I'm Jimmy the Fish going, you and your family, you need to stay healthy. You need to do what we say. Yeah. Bad New York accent. I can't even do a New York accent. I can't even do a bad New York accent. Sorry, guys. But they like it. They love me. Either way. 2008. 5 months. I don't know what we're talking about.
Atheism is the best.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. So I'm not sure what they're doing. Something happened in the chat. There we go.
I agree with Steve. Humanism is best.
Oh, yeah.
Humanism and skepticism, because that'll both lead you to atheism.
Yes, absolutely. So I think, let me look at this chat one more time. I might go ahead and let you go so I can go ahead and build tomorrow's show, because I can't build tomorrow's show until we're done here. I just can't.
Gotcha.
How that works. And as soon as because I don't know though. Yep. So Andy Hall is sending me a message going, hey man, I'm ready to start shelling links for tomorrow's show. And I'm like, me too. I got to go build it. Actually, I got to go do all the things that I dread doing. I got to go find the picture, put the picture, make the thumbnail, build the show, blah, 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 blah. It'll take all of 10 horrifying minutes. I know I'm a bitch. I'm lazy.
Yeah.
I'm just lazy. That's it. I'm just lazy.
Before I go, you remember Daniel Reynoso, who you had on last week? He's my Tuesday. So he's going to be on my show on Tuesday. So that should be. He had so much information, so he's very eager to get his stuff started, and he's going to be on my show Tuesday. So if you guys liked him on your on the Daily Atheist, he's going to be on mine, and maybe we can see him in the after party engage with some theists. Yeah, so that should be fun.
And you know what I need to do? Because I didn't know you were going to be here. I didn't put your links in the description, but I need to. And what I'll do is I'll create this little section. Daniel was a lot of fun. I need to get him back on the show. He's extremely verbose, which makes my job easy. I'm like, here's a question, and now I sit while he talks.
Yep.
Man, I'm gonna give me some coffee. I'm just gonna sit here. That's good. Just
I started thinking about like how much information does this guy have in his brain just about this one subject? Because I mean, I'm gonna have to. I have a certain amount of information. And then it's like pause, throw up the be right back sign, and then come back down. Okay, so this is why I said this. he just keeps firing off, and I think that's great for discussion, especially with a theist. If he could just keep going with it, I mean, as long as he's not gish galloping, I mean, I think it would be a great conversation.
Yeah, and well, what'd you say? Gish galloping? Is that what you called it?
Gish galloping. You ever heard of that before?
I've never heard the phrase. I think I know what you're talking about. Go ahead and give me your.
So Gish galloping. There was a guy, I forget his first name, but his last name was Gish. And in a debate, he would bring up 15 different points right off the bat, and then he would say, the next guy that on his rebuttal would try and talk about as many of those points as he could. And then when Gish got back up to the podium, he said, see, he didn't address everything that I said. Obviously, he must be wrong. So when you Gish gallop, you give 15 different reasons, 15 different statements, and the other person is expected to address every single one of those statements. Right. So what I like to do, especially when it comes to Duncan Atheism or Darth Dawkins, he likes to do that. He likes to bring up multiple different things, and I will try and respectfully interrupt and get right in there and be like, all right, you brought this one thing up. Let's focus on that right now. And then I'd be more than happy to go to the next thing that you'd like to address. But he doesn't like that. He likes using his philosophical jargon to get little dumb atheists like me confused. And to be like, okay, so hold on, let me process this for the next 10 minutes and I'll get back with you.
Gotcha. I've never debated anybody like that, but I know people, and I'm not speaking of anybody in general. I don't mean to. Some people do it. Okay, Justin, you made a point. Okay, now I'm going to respond to your point with 13 response points, and then each point has at least 5 subsections to respond to. I've been with those people. It can't be just yes. No, it's got to be, well, first section, subsection A, blah, blah, blah. And they just go on about themselves forever and ever and ever. And they just end up, you just sit there on your show and you're like, fuck. I have been on my own show and gone, just kill me now, God. Kill me now. Take me, Lord. Take me, Jesus.
There was multiple times where I said, all right, Darth, you do realize that you are on my show right now. Like, you don't make the rules for this. If he's got some type of script on his computer on like Tamper Monkey or something,
okay,
because you use StreamYard.
That kind of script.
If you want to mute somebody, you can mute them and they can't do anything about it.
Okay, yeah.
And if you watch my after party, he lets it happen a couple times, and then he has some way to unmute himself after me, the host of StreamYard Party, has already muted him. Typically, I don't think they can unmute themselves once I mute them. I would have to unmute them for them to be able to do that.
And I didn't think you could unmute them, even if you're the host, if they mute themselves. Yeah,
yes, if they mute themselves, I can't unmute them.
That's right.
If I mute them, they can't unmute themselves. But he did it twice. He unmuted himself. He's like, if you keep muting me, I'm going to get off the show. I'm going to leave the broadcast. So I was like, do what you want, man. You're not forced to be here.
Yeah.
You asked me in the comments, invite me onto the show. So I did, because I wanted to give you the chance. And then he was unmuting himself. And I was like, how is he taking a host position inside of my show? And I was like, no, I'm not having this.
Yeah. Brainbuck says he does that to James on Modern Day Debate as well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that. I'm planning on having some debates on my channel here, but that was just, I don't know. I don't know if that's entirely smart. I just don't know if I want to do that. I was going to, and I may, even if I decide to not host them, I may help those people who like Paul Cammish and Chris from the Science Tech TV. I may help them get in touch with Modern Day Debates so they can host their debates over there, because that's what they're about. I'm just some guy who does a morning show and said, yeah, come argue on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking about that. But that I can understand how that would be disturbing. This is my show. You don't talk if I say don't talk. Yeah. And if I mute you and you unmute yourself, that's bad. That's bad juju.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it should be. Yeah. So what kind of script? I know what you mean about the script. That script there. Yeah, I get you. I didn't know you were talking about that. I didn't know you did.
Because I know, we have a certain type of script that we use on Tamper Monkey to run OBS, but I'm like, is there another type of script that he can use to be able to take control over muting and unmuting on it?
That's a good question. I'll have to talk
and
to
Randolph said he's probably leaving and re-entering very quickly. Well, I mean, there was one time to where I had muted him, and not even a full second later, he had unmuted himself. So, I mean, I don't know if that's the case, unless he's got really, really fast internet and really, really fast reactions. He's in the middle of talking, I mute him, and less than an entire second later, he's unmuted himself and back in it. I'm like, whoa, how did he do that on my show?
Yeah, and one thing, so he probably does have some kind of script. If you leave the show, usually it drops you back in the backstage anyway. You don't go right back into being in the show. Now, it does on my case sometimes, because of the script that we use, because we want it to pop back in. I don't want to see the puppy paw when you're not there. So it will, when you come back sometimes, but most of the time it won't. If you pop out because you're like Leanne the other day during Sci-Fi Saturday, she'd pop back in and I would have to reach over there and add her back to the show from the backstage every time she left. So if he was refreshing his page, he should have been probably experiencing that. I'm not really sure, but I would think he would experience that. You refresh your page, it comes back to the select your camera and your microphone.
Yep.
And you choose that and you go in. That takes, a few seconds, 10 seconds, whatever to get through it. So he probably, like you say, probably has a script of some kind. Very interesting. I mean, if I get the opportunity to talk to Critical Cripple about that, that's interesting. I wonder how that would work on your end since you're the host. I don't know. I'll have to find out. All right, you know what? I appreciate you being on the show. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go ahead and shut her down and get ready for tomorrow. Create and build the show. And thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely.
I have been lazy again, like I said, this week. I'm trying to take a break. Maybe I'm going to get back on the wagon of finding guests. But if you're around, I'd love to have you again. Thank you for showing up.
I'll jump in before the show every single. I mean, it's normally if you don't have somebody on, you'll ask me, and I'm more than happy to come up here and throw my headphones on for you.
I appreciate it. You know, I'm not afraid. I used to be afraid. I'm not afraid of going it alone. But it is sure a lot more interesting. Well, I don't know. I think it's more interesting with somebody else besides me.
It's your show. I mean, I feel like there might be some time.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And again, I'll have you. It's all about building our channel. Someday, you know, your channel is just going to skyrocket, and I'll be going, I know that guy. He used to talk to me. Yeah. Send me a tweet. Duncan, I don't know what you're tweeting me for though. He's going to send me a tweet for something. Grumpy old dude, Ed, if you're around, let's talk about Friday, man. Will you be around Friday? Would you like to be on the show Friday, Ed? That would be awesome. And I got other folks, Wes or Duncan, they can come back on the show too. And Chris from the other show. We've also got Daniel Bennett, who's a real smart guy. He likes to talk about smart people stuff. Yeah. Sciencey stuff. I was thinking about having a show with him and Chris from the Guild of Inquiry, because they're both all smartified type folk. And the rest of us could just sit back and smoke weed and drool while they talk about smart people stuff. I just don't know how fun that would be. It'd be fun for me, sort of, in a kill me now kind of way. But otherwise, all right, guys, I am going to let you guys go, and you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for sharing your Monday morning with me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Justin, again, for being on the show. I'm going to put this fancy thing up here. Don't forget to go subscribe to me. If you're not already subscribed, we're racing to 1,000, and then subscribe to Justin. I don't have a link for him. I'll get a link for him. And we'll get you. Don't forget to subscribe to him.
I just hit 50. I might have a 50 subscriber after party.
There you go. Well, you know, generally it's my understanding they have 100 subscriber after party is the thing, or a party. That's what I missed mine. I didn't do it, but then Jay had one, and these other people have had one. So I would certainly encourage you. Really, 50. Where are you at now?
I'm at 50 right now. I started I've done 3 shows so far, and I started at 3 subscribers.
Yeah, I was your 4th.
Just a couple personal friends. Yeah, you were my 4th, and I'm up. I just hit 50 last night, and I'm like around 250 likes on my page, to where when I started off creating content, I was at like 30, I think 30 or 40. Yeah. So in my Facebook friends, I still have like 60 or 70 that I request that I still have to go through to vet people. I think I went from 300 Facebook friends to all close to 1,400 right now. And I'm trying to keep some of those spots open for when I do get big, and a lot of people want to, you know, be friends with me on Facebook, but I'm trying to promote my page a little bit more for the content itself, because, you know, you don't want to cloud your whole personal Facebook page up. I'd still like to see some of the stuff that the guys that I grew up with are posting, but I'm always up for having friends.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna say hi to Richard here. Richard, you showed up and we were just heading out. Good morning, Richard. I hope you're doing great. So thank you again for showing up. I'm gonna go do that voodoo that I do so well. You guys all have a wonderful day. Thank you again, Justin, and thank you to everybody in the chat. We will see y'all tomorrow.
See you later.
Oh, wrong screen.